Philosophy is accessible to anyone who is willing to ask thought-provoking questions and engage in deep thinking. Unfortunately, the internet often promotes brief and superficial quotes that fail to fully explain a philosopher's ideas. This article highlights 5 instances where philosophical quotations have been misinterpreted.
The great thing about philosophy is that we can all do it. Anyone can ask philosophical questions about reality, truth, right and wrong, and the point of it all. And we often do, at least for brief moments throughout the day. The best books, TV shows, and movies all come dyed in philosophy, and they plant ideas that linger long after you close the book or the screen fades to black. But even though anyone can do philosophy, small p, it's also true that not everyone is great at philosophy, big P, and as a discipline. When you study philosophy, only a small part, a part often reserved for the wise and wizened ones of university departments, involves doing philosophy. The rest is spent learning what other philosophers said and why they said it. It makes sense, of course. When you learn to draw or write, you first learn the basic techniques. You need to walk before you can run. The problem is that the internet is awash with half-read and mostly misunderstood philosophy. It is made up of a series of quotations, often from Nietzsche, Rumi, or Camus, ripped from a single line of a very complicated book. It's wisdom, but out of context and stripped of nuance. The million-follower accounts on social media tear out pithy aphorisms from huge, well-argued tomes to broadcast the philosophical equivalent of live, laugh, love. To help clear things up, and to make the point more fully, here are 5 of the most misunderstood quotations out there. This quotation is much more powerful and makes more sense when you look at the parts which come afterward. God remains dead, and we have killed him. After all, this quote isn't really about God at all. It's about humanity, what we've done, and what those actions mean. When Nietzsche says, God is dead, it is not the triumphant cheer of a dragon-slaying hero, or a smug, cross-armed atheist at the back of the church. It's more like the worried whispers of a eulogy. If I asked you to give your top 3 philosophical razors, I bet Occam's would rank high on the list. People often assume that Occam's razor is making the claim that, if something is simpler, then it's more likely to be true, as if simplicity is proportional to truth. But that's not what it's intended to do. Occam's razor is not meant to be a rule, but rather a guiding principle when choosing between options. The biggest problem in how we understand Occam's razor is that it was never really meant for real-world things, like in the philosophy of science. When Occam was writing, he was taking aim at what was, quite frankly, some pretty insane metaphysics. This is more of an idea than a quote. For a lot of people unfamiliar with Marx, or those who have only glancingly read his works, he comes across as a bank-burning, barricade-building anti-capitalist. It's no doubt that Marx did not want capitalism, but that's not to say he didn't see the good side of it too. Not only is the idea of savages versus civilization a massively dated, racist, and colonial notion, but the big problem is that Rousseau never said it. He likely didn't believe it either. Before civilization, humans were neither moral nor immoral. They were just natural. The basic point is that if I am thinking right now, or if I am doubting to be precise, then it must also be that I am existing. A non-existent thing cannot think. The misunderstanding comes in assuming this is an argument in the form of premises, I think, to conclusion, I exist. As we can see, it's rare, and highly unlikely, that the entire canon of the greatest minds in history can be summarized, or understood, in a beautifully lettered Pinterest post. It's almost always the case that if you take the time to search for the full context of a quotation, you will find much more to it.